I want to jump in and invite our first speaker for today, which is Matilda Lee, to the stage from Gorgeous, speaking about fast-tracking revenue.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the kind of technical hiccup, as always. I'm Matilda. I'm very excited to talk about how brands can drive more revenue by using conversational AI today, especially ahead of BFCM. And we understand the importance of engaging with shoppers in real time and making sure that we're able to personalize every step of their journey. So I'm very excited to dive in. So this is nothing new to you guys, I'm sure. Every BFCM, we hear the same thing. Teams say we can't keep up. It's the busiest season of the year. It's the most anticipated BFCM every year. But I think that what we are a little bit worried about is quality kind of takes a hit with the search volume. It becomes really nearly impossible to maintain the same level of accuracy and personalization. And even the best teams feel stretched then. And marketing campaigns outpace CX capacity. Their campaigns do the job organically, and paid ads, we are trying to bring more traffic in. They drive demand, but all the demand floods into CX. And when support can't scale with it, the very campaigns that should drive growth start to create friction, and there is a leak in the bucket, if you will. Escalations rise fast, delays or small errors quickly spiral into bigger issues, angry reviews, public complaints now with social media blowups. We've been there. And what starts as a ticket backlog can really become a brand reputation problem overnight. And there's, of course, data silos slow everything down. Customer data sits in different systems, and without a unified real-time view, it's hard to really personalize responses or resolve issues quickly. And customers feel like they're talking to different departments and different brands instead of one unified experience. And lastly, I think forecasting misses make it very worse. I think too many agents scheduled means wasted budget, too few means long wait times and lost sales, and not the best kind of customer experience that we all obviously want to provide. And with the unpredictability, BFCM spikes, it's almost impossible to balance it right. So every year, the same challenges come up: overwhelmed teams, frustrated customers, missed opportunities. And that's exactly why I would love to just kind of go over how conversational AI is nice to have, but it's becoming essential. So conversation, and of course, AI allows us to become multipliers. We know this from personal, but also work life as well. It changes the game because it allows brands to capture revenue opportunities automatically without burning out their teams, as long as, of course, it's set up properly, which I'll go over in a bit. But I want to kind of pause and define it a little bit clearly, because I think it's been such a buzzword, conversational AI. And so at its core, it's simply the technology that lets computers talk with people. It used to be that human one-to-one interaction, but now we're kind of interacting with machines. And it's advanced, so it understands what someone's saying. It figures out the most optimized way to respond. It can respond naturally in a way that feels almost like human and on brand, which wasn't possible a couple of years ago. And you've already seen it in action in customer live chats, voice assistant with Alexa, Google Home, whatever you may have, smart replies on different channels. And here's why it matters so much more than just automation. We're wired to have conversations. We want answers to be quick, relevant, personalized to us, because conversations is ultimately how people connect, how we learn, and how we make decisions. And if you're thinking about it, when we're shopping, we don't want to scroll through endless product pages and guess at the right keywords in a search bar. We don't want to bounce between FAQs, reviews, trying to put the pieces together. We want the answers quickly from someone who it feels like understand what we're looking for, and the less friction. And this is exactly what conversational AI is able to deliver: a buying experience that feels personal. It seems like you're talking to a real sales associate in store and meeting customers where they are. And we see this everywhere. This isn't niche anymore. It's mainstream. Amazon Rufus, if you haven't used it, it's Amazon projected to drive $700 million in revenue just from Rufus interactions. And GPT, OpenAI just announced chat to checkout, which is super exciting. Shopify is pushing into this agentic commerce idea, and conversational commerce is happening everywhere, and it's moving extremely quickly. But I think the key takeaway here is that you don't want platforms like GPT or Amazon to own the conversations that you yourself should be having with your customers, because they own the relationship, not you. It's all based on your data, but ultimately you don't have full control over how you want to show up, and it's no longer on brand, and you're continuously fighting and competing for more space and more attention from shoppers. Instead, this is why you need to bring the same level of experience into your own store, inside your own chat, and protect the connection with your customers. And this is how you keep the revenue where it belongs with you. So let's talk about the biggest pain points conversational AI can solve. First, taking a look at when customers are actually shopping. If you're on Gorgeous, you can actually see exactly when conversations peak. Typically, we see 30 to 45% of tickets coming in during evening hours and weekends, where a lot of the activity is going on, and the shoppers are most online and active outside of traditional business hours. And especially in EMEA regions, many brands miss those evening surges, especially if they're active in the global market, and especially the US market. They only are able to respond to 9 to 6 global time or local time, and there's a lot of time zone gaps. And when this happens, there's a lot of lost opportunities to engage with customers in real time. And if I put myself in a shopper's shoes, which I quite frequently an online shopper, I'm not necessarily like frustrated by this experience. I'm not mad, but I actually just lose interest by the next day. So let's say I'm browsing something and I'm impulsively kind of wanting to buy a pair of shoes, for example. And if I have any questions on the material, the sizing, and I don't get the answers right away, it's not that I'm like frustrated and this is a worse customer experience and leave. It's just like, you know what? I don't really need this. And my mindset shifts the next day. This is exactly why giants like Amazon is so successful, because they make it possible to buy instantly right in that moment. All the answers are there. Again, leveraging Rufus even further to get that experience. And they understand the need for impulse buy with fast delivery and buy now portion. And shoppers don't like waiting necessarily, so they want to make sure that they're getting the right answers. We're getting more impatient more than ever before, and conversational AI is the only way to scalably cover these peak hours when your team simply cannot be staffed 24/7 addressing all your shoppers' needs, especially as a brand, you want to accelerate that traffic. So what you should be doing is like rethinking about conversation as an opportunity. And no one knows that, I think, better than CX teams, especially because you guys are the people that are on the front lines. Your agents are having these conversations every single day in different channels. And these stats aren't something new to you, but 80% of customers say fast and helpful responses make them more likely to buy. And if you engage and have more interaction touch points with a brand, then you're more like 2.3 higher likelihood of conversion rate. So when these moments are missed, we call it the hidden CX tax. So slow responses, unanswered questions, potentially abandoned carts, they quietly stack up, and the cost shows up as lost revenue and wasted ad spend. So what does it mean when we're actually talking about this hidden CX tax? It's, like I mentioned before, delayed response, unanswered questions. So each one of these conversations stack up and they become this burden and tax on your business. So you won't see on a balance sheet, but it shows up in very real ways, which is missed opportunities, lower retention, high customer acquisition cost, team burnout, and so forth. So for CX teams, we're very familiar with this, like ticket backlogs, that slow responses. You're kind of rushing through all these tickets because you have a million different tickets that you need to address to, which could potentially result in lower CSAT, loyalty, lower retention rate. And then overloaded agents obviously spend less time in meaningful conversations. And I think Glossier does a great job at this, where they leverage AI to make sure that they're automating a lot of the repetitive kind of tedious tickets so that they can focus a lot of their attention on social interactions where they want to build a community. So I think a lot of brands are leaning into more customer-led growth at this point, and conversation allows you to have that. And burnout leads to higher attrition and making scales really harder. For e-com teams, this tax shows up a little bit differently. So if you have unanswered questions, that means cart abandonment, which is straight up lost revenue, wasted CAC. So you pay to bring shoppers in, but they never convert. So the acquisition costs become greater, and fragmented experiences. So fewer repeat purchases, less long-term growth. And this is ultimately what we call the hidden tax. It's invisible, but it compounds over time. And over 40% of the customer support tickets aren't post-purchase, they're actually pre-sales inquiries. And if you actually, again, if you're in Gorgeous, you can see intents to understand what the makeup looks like for your pre-sales questions. Are there a lot of questions about shipping policy before they make a purchase? Is it product recommendations questions? Is it discount questions? And you'll be able to see this breakdown. And this share only climbs during peak shopping events like BFCM. And this means when your CX team isn't just, it means that CX teams is troubleshooting issues anymore post sales, but they're actually front lines of revenue. They're handling questions like product availability. When is it going to be back in stock? Or you also get a lot of insights on what they're looking for. Hey, I really like your previous collection, but I'm really interested in potentially getting something different. Like, do you have something in this design and that design? So you get a lot of insights for your product buyers too, which you need to be leveraging. Sizing and fit, style recommendations, policies like shipping and returns, obviously we're very familiar with. And these aren't small details. They are actually deal makers or deal breakers for some shoppers who are seconds away from purchasing. So if we think about CX in this context, it's no longer just a cost center. It's a direct driver of conversion and revenue when you can meet these expectations. So how can Gorgeous help you get there and make sure that you're maximizing every opportunity for all the different KPIs? We have our AI agent has a shopping assistant skills. What that means is it's strengthening the pre-sales journey, especially. So if I want to take a look at closer to what it does, when making product recommendations, which is one of our strongest kind of features that you can leverage, is shopping assistant actually actively listens and analyzes real-time session data, which is awesome, including cart activity, how long did they view the pages, how long did they spend time on an entire session, what are some of the behavioral signals to understand what the shopper is actually looking for and what they might be unsure about. And also where they're in their buying journey, where they clicking into a chat and asking questions. Is it the product detail page? Is it a search page, discount page? So we have that visibility. And this turns the experience into a two-way conversation, not just a static interaction like the typical, here's what we recommend, here are some of the similar products. But we want to make sure that the suggestions and offers are relevant, that feel natural and helpful and not intrusive. And the reality is, no two shoppers are the same. And the way we browse, we evaluate, buy online varies from one person to another person. Like, for example, this one, Arc'teryx Australia, is a great example because the shopper is revealing everything about what they're looking for. There's a large number of jackets that Arc'teryx offers, very similar, but there's like very little nuances with materials, how it fits, what the functionality looks like. And so here you're asking, hey, I'm going to Norway for a hiking trip. I know it rains quite a bit, so what's the best option for me? I'm typically size small to medium, and you're getting all these insights. Otherwise, you wouldn't have not gotten unless you had opened up that conversation. So the recommendation feels a lot more relevant and it increases conversion rate. Next is intelligent upsell. AI agent isn't just there to answer questions, but it's designed to actively drive cart value, spotting different opportunities in real time. So it looks at what the shoppers cart, like I mentioned before, and even past purchase history to recommend higher value and potentially the complementary products, depending on, again, what the context looks like. So if you're taking the example right now is actually from Pepper, but I recently used it on one of our skincare brands, Osea Malibu. If you haven't checked them out, they're an amazing cosmetic brand. And for example, the shopper, I saw an example where they asked for a facial moisturizer. So they're looking for cream specifically. And then AI agent suggested a serum and oil that works hand in hand with that specific cream to complete that skincare routine. That was relevant and not as pushy. So we've seen a great success with increasing average order value and maximizing cart value there. And this kind of experience is great because it's not talking about just generic recommendation. It is presenting something that genuinely will fit their needs, and it's a lot more relevant and during the critical period of time when they're actually actively shopping. The last one is one of the biggest insights we've learned is that shoppers don't always know what to ask or when to ask for help, or those questions go silently. And that's why proactive assistant matters so much. And we've built 3 customer engagement features to make sure you are able to provide this level of experience. So the first one is the floating query bar, which is like the first image on the Cream Habitual site, our mock-up brand. As you can see, the little search bar to always be visible so shoppers can ask questions at any time. So this is to signal that the team is always staffed with AI functionality to answer any other questions. And then we have dynamic campaign, which gets triggered on the right hand of the bottom of the corner, where when the shopper is actively searching for something. So for example, an example that I used before was the moisturizer. They'll see a personalized message that's dynamic that pops up, guiding them to the right moisturizer. So, hey, I see that you're looking for this. Do you want something that's going to be good for hydration? So the message is more relevant to this key search term that they're using, which increases engagement rate. And the last one is suggested product questions, which is surfaced on the product detail page, not the search page, highlighting the most common questions so customers don't have to dig through a long PDP and FAQ. So we're trying to help you meet customers where they are, always present, always ready to step in the right moment. And it can start conversations based on shoppers' behavior and helpful prompts. And this result isn't just a passive, just chat tool. It's a proactive experience that really nudges shoppers to the right direction. So again, I mentioned Osea Malibu being one of our top cosmetic brands that it's leveraging Shopping Assistant and seeing great value. So they've seen almost now like 2% uplift in revenue, 10% uplift in average order value, higher conversion rate when comparing from Shopping Assistant to Support Agent, which was really cool experiment to see, because I think human agents, typically as humans, we are kind of afraid to sometimes be too pushy. And when they're talking about, and this is something that Amanda mentioned and her team, is that we're not naturally just going to upsell and sell. It might feel a little comfortable, and we're not trained to be salespeople at this moment. Maybe your organization looks different, but the fact that AI agent is able to identify these opportunities and on autopilot is able to do that is something that we've been so impressed by. So what's next for us? I'm going to try to see if you can see the video here. But we want to rethink about our entire chat experience. I think we want to reimagine it to be faster, smarter, and more personal, more on brand, so the shopper interaction feels effortless. I don't know if you guys can see the text here, but the idea is to make sure that the entire UI user experience feels a lot like your storefront to mimic, and you're able to check out and get all the recommendations, figure out all the details that you need directly from this experience, so you don't have to switch back different tabs. And ideally, we want to create this seamless end-to-end experience from chat to checkout, turning conversations into conversion. So I'm not sure if you're a gorgeous customer or a non-customer. If you're interested, please scan this QR code and book a call with us so that we can give you early access to this new amazing chat experience. So one thing that I want to highlight with this, all sounds great, right? Like conversational AI, autopilot generating everything, but you cannot do this without the human involvement. So how is our role changing from the CX perspective and e-commerce perspective is that we need to amplify these conversations with AI, but this means that we need to bring our strengths together, letting AI handle what's best, but freeing humans to focus on meaningful and high value interactions. And how our role changing is, I see this in 4 different ways. Number one, we need to really be on top of supervising and training AI agent. It's not an easy process. The same way that when you onboard a new human employee, you need to make sure that they're equipped with SOPs, brand guidelines, and strategic ways of working, because your brand is different than another brand perhaps. So we need to make sure that we're reviewing conversations, refining responses, and testing various prompts to perfect the customer experience that your AI agent is handling, since they're representing your brand. Number 2 is making sure that knowledge that AI has access to is consistent, and there's less conflicting knowledge. So this means we need to continuously update information and sources to make sure that your brand policies are accurate. But what's great about AI agent for Gorgeous is that we actually get all the information from your storefront, which is great. So you don't have to worry about necessarily making sure that the product detail page is up to date, because the website, I'm sure that's your top priority. But it is still important to make sure that your guidance, your PDF file that you're uploading, or help center articles and all these different policies are consistent. The third one is one of my favorite ones, actually, because I have been in my past life, I have had to converse with customers as a CX member. And I think because I was so involved in answering all these questions and so scared of the volume, that I didn't have time to actually be strategic and conduct some analysis. So tracking metrics that demonstrate impact, identifying new revenue opportunities, and sharing insights with other departments is so crucial. And I think it's so exciting to be able to have allocated time for this now that, again, AI is able to handle a lot of the conversations that otherwise you'd be handling in the past. And of course, the fourth one goes without saying, that certain situations, it's edge cases, nuances. So AI agent may not be able to handle it in the way that the humans would, with emotional intelligence, creativity. So of course, you want to make sure that these tickets are prioritized to be escalated and handed off to a human agent with the right routing logic. And I think that we're all fearing, is our job going to be taken over by AI? Like if everything's on autopilot? No, I think we're here to evolve and really rethink about our roles and expectations to change. And so this is something that we would love to be a part of your growth journey, as well as Gorgeous introduces more features. We also want to make sure that our roles and expectations grow in a meaningful way. So my final takeaways are, number one, engage customers on site. So during BFCM, brands see both heavy investment and an organic surge in traffic. So don't let that go to waste. Engage customers early to reduce bounce rates and keep them shopping through proactive assistance. And start real conversations to maximize conversion rates and reduce return rates. You want to be educating customers. You want to be having these conversations. Don't be scared of volume. It's amazing how much you can find. Honestly, the insights that you get by welcoming these conversations through chat, through email, and different channels is going to be such a meaningful insight and experience that's going to not only shape the 2026, like Q4 2026 strategies for your business, but for next year's BFCM. Always meet customers where they are, guide them throughout their shopping journey. You would also be surprised to understand that customers do want those interactions when they're timely and helpful. And it really does enhance the shopping experience instead of interrupting it. So making sure we're intentional about in all these different areas would be key. To end off my presentation, I do want to highlight our BFCM survival guide. You can scan the QR code, add your email address to get a copy. It's not just about driving revenue, but all about how do we forecast, how do we create views in a way, how do we create the right escalation path, how do we leverage rules, macros, and all these different things, not just AI agent focused. So I would love to also get your feedback if you have anything else that you feel like is missing from this playbook, but it was compiled by leveraging all top 20 Shopify brands tactics and hacks. So I'm very excited to share this with you. And I hope that you guys have an amazing BFCM prep, and let's grow that top line revenue.